Because at that time, we were all coders.
Okay, right.
Because right now, if I wanted to, I could have been working at, like, Google right now. If we all were qualified, because, like, Photobucket, I think, trained us all.
Right.
But I remember I got one of your videos was part of my MySpace.
Wow.
So when my MySpace would, like, scroll, your video would stay there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, my HTML skills were pretty crazy. And, yeah, so when I got your message, I was like, oh my gosh. I didn't believe it.
You manifested me.
I did.
You put me in your top 8.
I put you in my top 10.
Okay, thanks.
Because Tom was always there. Tom, I always felt like if we released Tom from the top 10, he would delete our account.
Something would happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was always scared. But, no, and I think, like, it's very much like what I've felt recently in the last few months. And I don't know if it's the theme of the last few months or if it's like the theme of my life. I don't know what things will look like in the future, but I really feel like God has given me this weird gift of full circles. Mm-hmm. And that was one of them.
I love that.
I was like, oh my gosh, I
beautiful.
That. And I see a lot of things that happen, and that was one of those circles. I was like, oh, that's weird, because, like, the way I look at it, and this is the way I look at it, a lot of things that have been happening is that I look at, like, oh, so that means that, like, while I was like, oh, I want to go to Anjelah's show, I don't know if you ever do this, but, like, I'll think, like, oh, God already knew that, like, they'd be filming this video 15 years later.
Crazy.
Like, I should have just chilled out. Like, I was really impatient.
No, that was great. That was great. That was the buildup. That made the full circle even that much more exciting.
Yeah.
There's sometimes I wish I knew things in advance so I would chill out. But there's something special in the hunger, the chase. If you're not hungry, you ain't gonna chase.
No.
Then you're gonna get comfortable and you're gonna sit. You know, there's something very special in hunger. And when you achieve a certain amount of success, sometimes it's harder to stay hungry for that. You know what I mean? Because then you get comfortable, then you get coasty, you start coasting a little bit, and it's like if you snack all day, the hunger pains go away. But if you deprive yourself, right, then you're hungry for the next meal, you're hungry for the next gig, for the next big thing. But if you just do little bits here and there, it's almost like you're robbing yourself, metaphorically speaking.
Yeah. No, I feel that for sure. I think, like, at that time, because there's a lot of, I've been making videos for, like 15 years maybe, or 12 maybe. And there is a lot, there's moments like that where I'm like, I wish I knew. I wish I knew. Because, like, I think, like, the day that Will Smith, like, had DM'd me, I also thought, like, oh my gosh, that means when I was, like, a little kid watching Men in Black, like, God already knew. You know, it's just like, it's like, I think everything's deep, and it is.
It is.
It is. Because I'm like, oh, it's not. It is.
It's so deep.
It's, like, really deep. Because I'm like, no, like dreaming is crazy. I was talking to my friend Robert, one of the crew here today. We were talking the other day, and I was like, do you know, like, it's so lonely when you're, maybe not at some point, and please tell me at some point it's not. It's so lonely when you're, like, pursuing stuff, like your dreams. Because it's like, little by little, like, then, like, your friends, like, go on and start a family.
Sure.
And then I'm like, okay, I almost got that deal, you know?
Right.
And then I told him, I was like, no, like, it's really lonely. Like, with your parents, too, sometimes I think. I remember my mom was, because, you know, I'm from Hanford, and it's, like, over there, like, everybody's parents kind of working the same thing. And my mom and a lot of my friends' moms worked at the ketchup tomato plant. And so that was, like, the quickest thing that my mom would tell me is, like, just work there. Like, what are you doing, like, with the videos? Like, you could be making $15 an hour. You could be making $16.50 an hour at some point. And I was like, oh, no, I know. But, like, I just need this part-time job where I'm making almost nothing because I need to try to make these videos. I was like, I don't know what to tell you, but, like, I think these videos are, like...
So glad you didn't give up.
Well, I just still got hired. I'm like, no, I'm still waiting for my interview. No, but yeah, it's crazy. When I went to your event, I was like, oh my gosh, because I thought it was gonna be like this scary place. I'd also never been to the Improv.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I had been wanting to go, and so I was like, oh my gosh, like, she probably just like invited me. I was like, just like a little like, if you want to come, and then like, and then I go, and I was like, oh my gosh, and then you like looked at me, and then you said hi. I was like, oh my gosh,
Eye contact.
She knows me. Eye contact. Like she paid attention. I'm just like releasing all my daddy issues right now.
I love it. Let it out.
But I remember one of the when you were up there reading some parts of your book, there was this part that I had always thought of that no one had ever said, and I never said because I was like, oh, maybe it's not. Maybe I'm just trying to think it's deep, and it's not that deep. But you said we always talk about these strong single mothers when they raise her, like, oh, like badass, like she's doing it all alone. But we never talk about the dad. And my whole childhood, because my dad, when I was 11, he moved out. But I never, and I know like a lot of my friends who have similar stories, they always said like, oh, like forget him, like he left us, all this stuff. And I just remember thinking like, well, I was there. I don't know how your experience was, but like I was there in my home when my dad was there, and I always was just like, oh no, I would have left too if I was you. Like that was not an easy place to live, and not a good situation. And so I always thought like, I always wondered like, what is that like for him? And I remember like whenever he would come around, I'd always be like, oh no, like you don't have to like. I almost wanted to like, give him permission, like, oh, you can yell at me. Like if you want to be mad, you can be mad. Like you can. And your book's a little different. Our dads are a little different because my dad was always very. I feel like he didn't think that he had the permission to get mad.
My dad just gave himself all the permission. My mom did it on her own, you know, raised 4 kids on a hairstylist budget, which is, you know, hit or miss some weeks, you know. But I was saying that I never, ever thought of their divorce from his perspective. I only thought of it from my mom's point of view. My mom did this by herself. You know, not much help from my dad. Like he would give his, you know, child support and whatnot, but it was difficult for her raising 4 kids. And I never looked at it from my dad's point of view until I started writing this book. And I started asking my dad questions. And it was kind of heartbreaking because my dad was scary growing up. So, but I feel like I villainized him even more so in my mind as I would look back on things, but I never humanized my dad and was like, oh, you're just a boy who grew up and now you're in a man's body and you had your own kids. But nobody taught you how to be a healthy father for us, how to be a healthy husband. Like you're doing what your dad taught you, you know? So I never really looked at my dad as a human until I started writing this book and started asking him questions and finding out, you know, what it was like for him when they got divorced and how he felt like everything was taken from him, his family, his wife, his kids, his house. Could you imagine working so hard your whole life and you buy a home and then you lose it in a divorce and your wife and your kids, everything's gone and you have to like rent a room over here?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Like I never thought about his perspective, like starting from scratch. Like granted, he was scary growing up and it was abusive, but I still now in my evolved state after going through therapy for many years, now I can look at everybody as humans. When somebody gives me an attitude at the grocery store, old school Anjelah would have been like, oh, I know how to do attitude too. Let's play this game. Okay. But now I can take a breath and be like, ooh, something's going on with you. That has nothing to do with me. Wow. Okay. hey, I'm going to think good thoughts about you and for you, as much as I want to pop off at the mouth too right now. But I have no idea what you're going through. Maybe you're going through your own divorce. I don't know what's happening, but it has nothing to do with me. But I finally started to look at my dad as a human. I was like, oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
When you say that, I picture this guy losing everything and just thinking like, oh, this is what I've always been. This is what I knew. I didn't know that I was going to lose everything because of it or through it.
Right. And then you can stay in that, or you can grow and evolve and become a better person. And it's up to each person what they want to do.
I read it, and you said like he was a person with his own traumas.
Oh yeah. My dad had his own issues with his own dad, and my dad was a little player growing up. My aunt would tell me that in high school, my dad had literal notches in his bedpost of all the girls that he would hook up with. And just like, he was a little player, put all the notches in the bedpost of all the girls he had been with, and just ladies' man, partying it up. That was just his thing. And then the fact that he married my mom was very interesting, because he was actually dating my aunt first. And they broke up. And then he would fight over my aunt with this other guy, Tom, who Tom ended up marrying my aunt. And then when my dad started going after my mom, my aunt was like, don't do it, Susie, don't do it. But she did it. But I'm glad she did, because she has us now.
I saw a picture a few days ago that I've never seen of myself as a baby. And someone from Mexico sent it. And I looked and I was like, oh my gosh, like I've never seen my mom look like that. I've never seen my dad look like that. I saw them, I just remember like later images of them, but I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, like they were just normal people.
Yeah.
And for us, it's like, oh, they're our parents.
Right.
But so they were normal and they had normal problems like I do now. I'm like, man, I'm like 27 now and I can't imagine having a kid, because I'm like, I just don't think I'm well equipped emotionally. But
I don't know if we ever feel ready, like, because now I'm 40. I don't feel 40, but every like milestone birthday, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm 25. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm 30. I'm in my 30s now. Oh my God, I'm 35. Oh shit, I'm 40. Wait, what? And you still feel like you're that young kid. You still feel that you're the dreamer. And I don't know that changes when you get older. And I've asked my mom too. My mom is in her 60s, and I'm like, did you ever think you'd be in your 60s? Like, obviously we hope to live a very long time, but to actually embody your 60s, like, did you ever imagine that when you were younger? And she's like, no, like it just creeps up on you, and you're that age, but you're still that young kid. Like, you're still your mom's child. You're still your grandmother's grandchild. You're still that person. Yeah. Your soul, your spirit is still the same. We evolve, we mature, we get older, but we still have our favorite color. We still have our favorite macaroni or whatever. You know what I mean? We're still just that young kid who grew up. I had a friend who had moved to LA, and she was doing the whole acting thing, and she was in a Ross commercial and an NSYNC music video. I was like, hey, I know somebody famous. Yeah. And she was like, yeah, if you move out here, I'll help you. I will help you get started, and I'll show you how to do it. And I was like, okay, so now this like far-fetched fantasy of being an actress is actually attainable. Like,
you're in the Bay Area at this point.
In San Jose, yeah. Right around that same time, I had another friend who I cheered Pop Warner with since I was a little girl. And I ran into her at a nightclub, and she was like, yeah, I cheer for the Oakland Raiders now. You should come try out. We have tryouts like next weekend. And I was like, oh no, that is not my jam. Like, I was into competitive cheerleading, like stunts, tumbling, like college all-stars and stuff like that. And this was like pretty and shake your pom-pom, show your cleavage. I was like, not really my jam. But I wanted to be an actress. So I was like, you know what? I was praying about it, and I was like, you know what, God? I'm going to go try out for the Oakland Raiders. And if I make it, then I'm going to do it for 1 year, and then I'll move to LA, and I'll pursue my dreams to be an actress. But if I don't make it, I'm going to use it as my sign that the entertainment industry is not for me, and I'll just go in another direction. And long story short, made the squad, went to the Super Bowl that year, best year to pick. Because of me, obviously. Duh. And what happened when I left? Downhill.
After that, like, Vegas was like, you guys should try over here, honestly.
Yeah. I came home from the Super Bowl, packed up my room, and I moved to LA the very next weekend. And it's been about 20 years now. And I started as an extra and worked my way up from extra to a stand-in. I was a stand-in on a TV show. And while I was a stand-in, there was, on the very last episode, there was a co-star role that she had like 2 lines, and they hadn't cast it yet. And I remember the cast kind of rallied around me, and they were like, well, how about Anjelah? Just have Anjelah do that part, because I had been the stand-in all season long. And so they gave me that part, and that was my first speaking role on TV. And I remember my mom and my sister flew down to come and be on the set and watch me film my episode. It was incredible. It was an incredible season of dreaming. It was that hungry that I was telling you about. Because you think sky's the limit. You haven't been jaded yet. You haven't been told no so many times yet. You haven't been turned down so many times yet. So everything feels possible. It feels like, oh my gosh, I got just a little hint of what it could be. I got to say 2 lines on TV. Like, I got just a little taste of what this could possibly be. And it feels magical, and it feels like I'm on my way, you know? And then you get knocked down a bunch of times years later, and all the years, it all adds up, and you get that scar tissue, you get that tough skin, which you have to have in this industry. But it sucks because you need the tough skin to keep going. Otherwise, you're going to bleed out, right? So you need the tough skin, but at the same time, that tough skin makes you jaded. And that jadedness kind of dims the colors of your dreams. So you can't really dream as boldly, as vibrantly. You kind of dream in safety. Let me do a safe dream. One that's not going to hurt me. One that's not going to be so much risk. You know, let me not be that vulnerable because I don't want to get hurt again. So let me just dream this little piece right here. It's hard.
What my life has become in the last few years is like crazy. Just wait. And I'm learning that I'm meeting people now who are currently encountering something that I was living through in 2015, 16, 17. And I'm like, oh no, because wait. You know, and I can tell no, hold on. I know, trust me, I just wish you were there when it wasn't this yet. Because I promise you,
yeah.
Oh my gosh, I promise you it gets better, but just keep walking, keep pressing in and confess, because it's just no, it's crazy. And I think TikTok was a big cheat for me, because I feel like a lot of people took so many years to try to do something in LA, and I feel like I just cheated because it was TikTok really helped me to just kind of cut in line.
I don't think you cut in line. I think you showed up right on time, right when you're supposed to be, right when you're supposed to be there. That was your path and your journey. I can look at mine and say YouTube cut me in line because my nail salon video blew up. I started headlining way before comics who have been doing stand-up for years and years. They paid their dues. They went on the road opening for this headliner, that headliner for years and years and years, and they're still not headlining. And then I got this cut to the front because of YouTube. I could look at it like that too. Or I can look at it as I'm right where I'm supposed to be, and I just showed up for myself. I showed up. I said yes.
Yeah.
I said yes to make that video. I said yes to edit it when all my friends went to go eat after church, and I went here and I edited the video. Whatever your yes was, you said yes to what you needed to say yes to get you where you are here. But you have things that you want to do. I feel like now that you've experienced all this, you've rolled in that circle, this circle, you met this celebrity, that celebrity, you see how they do things, this, that. I can't imagine like you in your own circle. Just like we have the Adam Sandler and all his friends, and they all in the same movies together.
Yeah.
And you got Jonah Hill and, you know,
Seth
Seth.
Rogen.
They got all their homies
Yeah.
in their movies and stuff like that. I can't imagine what your circle can and will look like in the future, and the things that you create from your story, your point of view, that is clearly connecting with people on TikTok, on Instagram, all the social media. It's clearly connecting. You're just walking out your journey. You're walking out your story, you know? Each step, you're right where you're supposed to be, doing what you're supposed to be doing. Who knows what God has for you? Who knows what God still has for me? I can get in that same place, like, oh my gosh, I've experienced so many things. I'm blessed already. I was on Mad TV. I have 2 very famous bits that have become a staple in pop culture. Bong Kwikwi in the nail salon.
I'm sorry. What?
Forever, that nail salon bit will probably be known by somebody. Somebody will remember it, be like, oh, remember that nail salon thing? That's crazy. I could look at that and be like, oh my God, I'm so blessed. I've already done so many things. Like, if this was it, great. I don't want this to be it, though.